Joe Rogan is not a fan of Bill Gates, accusing the Microsoft co-founder of being a massive hypocrite on climate change and the COVID vaccine in his newest episode. Let's take a look.
And then they cornered Bill Gates. Like, you fly here on a private jet. Like, what? It's like, yeah, I actually have one of the largest carbon footprints. Like, so you're a hypocrite. Like, what's your real angle here, buddy? Like, you probably have a business that profits from people deciding to take a green angle. And that's really what's going on. He's trying to push plant-based meat and a bunch of other bull, and that's why it's important for him to get that narrative out there about climate change. Just like during the pandemic, he was heavily invested in mRNA vaccines. And then at the end, he bailed, he sold all his shares, and then started talking like, it wasn't as effective as we hoped. Like, what about what you were saying in the beginning when you were saying it was really effective and that everyone needs to take it? Remember that?
Now, we've covered this idea of Bill Gates using green or health-conscious policy, enforcing it onto the public for his own gain in the past. Just last year, we had writer Seamus Brunner, whose book Controligarchs tackled that topic exactly. Here's a bit of that interview as a reminder.
So we followed the money. We saw that they, in some cases, like Mark Zuckerberg's case, he almost doubled his net worth over the course of the pandemic. Bill Gates added tens of billions of dollars. The rest of them did the same. I mean, Elon Musk almost quadrupled up. And so, and that's not a problem. Making money is not a problem. The problem is how they make their money. And that is by sort of seizing control over the industries that dominate every aspect of our life. So we talked about food. There's also energy. There's also transportation. And these billionaires are different than the billionaires of the past. They actually think that their wealth and influence gives them the power and the authority to tell the rest of us how to live our lives.
Now, you can find the rest of that interview on the Rising YouTube channel, where you should subscribe if you haven't done so already.
So I was catching up on some Bill Gates news. He recently interviewed Sam Altman, who's the founder of OpenAI. You'll recall that Sam Altman was ousted from his company very suddenly. I think we covered this a few weeks ago, and that led to a huge backlash because Altman is seen as this kind of very visionary pioneer in this important field of artificial intelligence. Now, I guess this was taped before that happened, and it was just been released. But I'm talking about what kind of regulatory structure there should be, if any, for AI, and apparently Altman selling Bill Gates on the idea that there should be some kind of regulation. At the same time, I'm seeing reporting on so Bill Gates has investments in China that have been he's been accused of the research going on there being used by the Chinese government to help them do mass surveillance on their population. And of course, Biden has prohibited U.S. companies from doing research in China for weapons or technology that could be used against the U.S. in a military capacity. And there are a lot of questions about whether Bill Gates' investments violate the spirit of that. So it's interesting. And one of the issues with artificial intelligence regulation, as we talk about whether to do that or how it's going to be, is if we can't regulate it in China. And so if China goes all in on artificial intelligence or any other foreign country, and only the U.S. or the West or something is constrained in building it responsibly, we could just fall behind in the development of this technology.
What does it mean to go all in on artificial intelligence? What are we talking about here?
Develop it as rapidly as possible.
Like ChatGPT?
ChatGPT is is an early form of artificial intelligence. I mean, there are some tech people who are very, very scared and think this is the singularity. This is the point at which we invent the tools of our own destruction. The artificial intelligence, right? From fiction, from science fiction, from killer robots, that kind of thing.
I mean, it's interesting. There was, of course, reporting about how Israel is using an AI system to target people in Gaza. There has been a lot of AI interest over the last few days as billionaire hedge fund donor Bill Ackman continues to post multi-thousand-word Twitter posts defending his wife, who's been accused of very serious plagiarism accusations. This, of course, after Bill Ackman pursued the ouster of Claudine Gay over identical, actually less bad plagiarism allegations than his wife has been accused of. And so it's definitely in the ether, but it seems so far removed. I've heard experts say that we are so far away from AI being anywhere near what you see in a sci-fi movie that it seems deeply premature. Students might be able to occasionally get one over on their English teacher cheating on a paper, but it seems like right now that's largely the limit of what is being accomplished.
Right now, that is the limit of what's being accomplished, but that's the debate. I mean, you've probably heard the famous, I don't know whose algorithm or axiom it is, that our like technological capacity, doubles or something over such and such time period, and if people are expecting, some people, that could be totally wrong, are expecting exponential capabilities in terms of this field, whereas it took us forever to get to this point, and it will take not so long to get to a point where the computers are capable of thinking for themselves on a level that more closely resembles what we know from our wildest imaginations, and that could be dangerous. Now, there are some people who think that will be a good thing, and we should accelerate it as much as possible. That society planned by super intelligent machines will be benevolent and will be a good thing. So there's like 4 quadrants. There's AI is like the most important development ever, and it's going to radically change the world, and so we should speed it up and get to that point as quickly as possible. There's AI is going to be the greatest, the most consequential development ever, and thus we should slow it down as much as possible. And there's AI is kind of just a development like any other, and it's not anything to worry about, and so we should speed it up as much as possible. And AI is nothing to worry about, but we should just regulate it because we regulate everything.
Well, it seems like the problem is that the biases in our current society are being built into the AI. So
what do you mean by that?
Many Republicans have noted that if you ask about Biden versus Trump, same question, you get much more negative questions about Trump.
Right.
If you ask whether or not Palestinians have a right to defend themselves, you get a very different answer than if you ask if Israelis have a right to defend themselves. So the broader establishment bias of the society, being pro-establishment, maybe that means Biden over Trump, and pro-establishment meaning Israel over Palestine, get baked into these kind of systems. And given that we live in a world that has not prioritized human well-being, the safety of the most vulnerable among us, the environment, or anything else, I do worry about the kind of AI that our contemporary society would build. It's just not clear to me how proximate those concerns really are, and whether this is really about AI being a problem or whether the problem is our society in the first instance.
Well, we will continue to monitor that. And that does it for us for today. Tomorrow on Rising, we will be off, but our phenomenal Friday hosts, Jessica Burbank and Amber Duke, will be here instead.
Be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss any content. And for those of you who like to listen while you're on the go, we're now available anywhere you listen to podcasts.
We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.